Welcome to the Quantum Biology Collective podcast, where we break down the practical applications of this emerging science, starting with healthy light habits and going wherever the quantum superhighway takes us. This is your host, executive and life coach Meredith Oak, with a quick reminder that podcasts are conversations, not consultations. But if you're looking for one of those, do check out our free practitioner directory at quantumbiologycollective.org. Our guest today is Thomas Van Doorn. He is a former physical therapist who went so deep down the quantum biologic rabbit hole that he started a medical clinic along with some other physicians and healthcare practitioners that practices solely through the lens of quantum biology and uses light as the starting point for healing. So we had a really interesting conversation about what root cause really means and how, if you don't have a quantum perspective, you're really not deep enough to say that you're healing at the root cause level. And also, because they see so many clients every week and they purely practice through this lens, Thomas has become really good at crafting protocols and helping people with mindset shifts to move into light optimization as a normal way of living. So this is a really great episode to prime you on what we mean when we talk about quantum biology, why it matters so much, and the deeply practical things that we can do to have asymmetric quantum leaps in our health and well-being. Enjoy. All right, Thomas Van Doorn, welcome to the Quantum Biology Collective podcast. It's a pleasure to
Thank
have
you.
you here. All right.
And thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. I loved it when I heard your story. I immediately was like, okay, you have to come on and tell this to everybody because I love what you've done. So you are in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
You came across quantum biology, you found some like-minded practitioners, and now you all have a quantum biology clinic together. Is that
Yeah.
more or
Yeah.
less what happened?
Basically, that sums it up. Yeah. Yeah. That's what we do here. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so tell me sort of what you were doing, what life was like, what you were working on when you came into contact with the information around light and the subatomic aspects of human biology.
Yeah. So I had a background in playing tennis, every day, trying to become pro. And from there was a specific interest in food, health, not getting injured, optimization of performance, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. That's something I want to do something with that. So I started to do physical therapy, which is pretty normal in Holland. You know, if you're interested in sport and you want to be in healthcare and you help people, that is pretty normal step to take. And when I was in that field, I was like, it's nice, but it feels like we're not really helping people. From there, I started Googling a bit more and more about root cause, root cause. What's the root cause of this? What's the root cause of that? And never, ever had I really got a good answer for it. I did some courses, educational programs when it comes about food or supplements or some molecular or some extra courses while I was doing physical therapy. So more and more knowledge, but never focused on the root cause of the problem. I came in contact, for example, with Paul Chek. He's pretty famous when it comes to holistic health. But even there, I was like, yeah, it's nice. And of course, you can help people with it, but I'm still missing something. And then on one day I found a video about quantum biology under the video of Paul Chek. I think it's 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And there was also a big motivation back at home. I have a disabled sister, and there's a certain disease pattern that will develop, which was like, yeah, you guys have to deal with that. It's normal. You cannot do anything about it. Just it is what it is. Maybe some medication. And I was like, what is it? Huh?
Yeah.
Why is there not? Why is there not something
That
else
is
we can
not a
do?
good answer.
I know, no, and
Yeah.
at least not the answer you want to hear. So,
Yeah.
um, and then I stumbled on the video of the quantum biology, and for the first time, it's weird. Huh? We always make the joke here, like a light bulb switched in your head.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wow, this is an explanation I never had before. Um, when it comes to what is the root cause of, let's say, life or at least our cells and how it's working and how the environment is interacting with our uh, yeah inner biology. And from there on, I started watching more and more videos about it. I was like, okay, yeah, at least this is new information where you can look into. And immediately, for me at least, it was
Hmm.
like clear, okay, but this is science, this is actual science. And before that, I was young, I didn't know anything yet about how science was working and the money and all the stuff behind it. But it really felt like, okay, this is common sense, but we can also prove that it's like almost like that it's common sense. So from there on, I had something like, okay, I want to learn more about this. Where do I start? And then I came across, because the video wasn't of Jack Kruse, was somebody else. And then I started to see in that line of videos on
Hmm.
YouTube, you have the playlist. I saw
Yeah.
some stuff.
That
Uh,
algorithm's very helpful if you get it working in the right way. Yeah.
yeah. So like, let's say within 2 3 months, the whole algorithm was only like quantum physics or quantum biology or quantum
Yeah.
mechanics or stuff like that. And then yeah, just subscribed as a member of Jack Cruse's website, starting to read all the blogs, which are a lot. Sometimes people make a joke like, "What did you actually study?" And say, "Okay, start with a couple of blogs, and then we talk further." It's just as a joke, of
Yeah.
course. But and from there on, yeah, just starting it, integrating it more and more in my personal life, not on somebody
Hmm.
else yet, and was working. So injury wise, I was never injured. I never had big injuries, but on the recovery side of things, on the performance side of things, on the mental clarity side of things, on because you're doing like uh, a lot of sports, but also studying physical therapy, and well, yeah, things became more and more easy. And then we started to experiment a little bit on my sister, remove this, do a bit more morning light. And yeah, pretty quick, she was off her type 2 diabetic medication, losing a lot of weight. And especially with her, because she has she's disabled, like the metabolic way, that's just what it is. That's in the genes. That's where the mistake is. You cannot do anything about
Right.
it. Oh no, it's going pretty well, actually.
Wow. So the doctors were saying this is genetic. There's nothing you can
Yeah.
do. You just have to manage it the best you can. And you started
Yeah.
implementing quantum biologic strategies, getting her in the morning light, getting her away from artificial light at night. And
Blue
lo and
blockers.
behold, blue
Mhm.
blockers at night.
Yeah,
Oh, it's like, oh, baby, it's
yeah,
not genetic. It's epigenetic.
yeah, and yeah,
So
or at
she
least for the
started to
metabolic
have
part.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah, and also my parents saw a change in behavior, so you can see like her behavior is like a 2 year old child, and of course that's genetic. I'm not saying that's
Yeah.
not genetic, but the
Right.
physical side of things when it comes to the diabetes or being overweight, or she had yellow spots on her face of not proper liver function as well.
Hmm.
Of course, her attention span is different than from a normal 34-year-old or 35-year-old person. We understand that, of course, but even that
Yes.
improved. Not in like huge steps, like, oh, now she can write and read. No, it's not that, but you see that was a different person there.
Right.
So,
So her quality of life improved beyond what the expectations were given
yeah,
her genetic
absolutely.
situation.
Yeah, a lot
Okay.
actually. And she doesn't live at home anymore, so there are a lot of healthcare professionals around her. So
Hmm.
still from time to time it goes with ups and downs, because if there's a new team, because the team switches something, you have to explain it again and start
Right.
over. So yeah, it
So
still
you have to
fluctuates,
go
but
in and give a seminar in
yeah, every
circadian
time. Yeah.
rhythms to everybody.
Yes. But then when they implement it, then
Yeah.
boom boom, it works again. So
Wow.
yes, yeah, so that's a big driver for this as well. Like, okay, it was working in
Hmm.
me, not in a big injury or nothing special,
Hmm.
but in performance wise. And then it was in my little sister, when it came to basically a lot of parts in her life. And then let's, okay, mom, try this, okay, dad, try that, oh, there's a
Hmm.
big sister or guys from the team or something like that. And basically it was working on everybody. And that's where I made the decision, like, okay, I don't want to be in supplement industry or in the food industry or in the physical therapy. I want to be in the quantum biology industry because it helps so much. And I came in more and more contact with other people on the form from Jack Kruse who have healed skin diseases or colon diseases or any number of problems basically. So that's basically how it started. And then I more books, more consultation with Jack, more and more interaction with other people. And that's how I came across a couple of friends of mine, or now friends, of course, and my partner at the time, who is a dentist. And they were also very interested in this topic. And a friend of mine who I knew from the gym, we never talked about healthcare stuff, knew from the gym, an older guy, he's 70 at the moment. And he was like, yeah, I'm doing this already for 30 years. I'm implementing this on patients. I'm like, okay, we know each other from the gym, just from hi, working out. Hey, how
Right.
you doing? We were always there in the morning because he was free in the morning. And I also didn't at school in the morning, just after practice, go to the gym. And from there on, it started rolling. I was like, okay, so there are more people on this path already. And let's join forces. Let's just build our own clinic or our own practice. And from there on, just we did a lot of test cases first. So
Hmm.
basically helped people for free. We did some labs. They had to pay for the labs. That's it.
Yes.
And from there on, just show results. Yeah, you can fix this. You can lose the weight, or you can remove the eczema or the sleeping problems. They were moving away in, let's say, 10 to 12 weeks. And with more and more patients, we had that. And from there on, we said, okay, let's do this properly and do it with the clinic, with more people, more patients, with a system. And now we are at the point 5, almost 6 years later, that we have a clinic where we see like between 15 and 30 patients a week. And we also educate other healthcare professionals about quantum biology.
Amazing. I love
Yeah.
it. This is the way forward. It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Yeah,
want to
it's super
follow up
nice.
on a couple of things. One of the things you said that I want to dive into a little bit, you talked about how uh, you're doing all of this education in health and wellness and physical rehabilitation, but you never quite felt like it was root cause. You were never
Yeah.
getting to the root cause. And I want to dig into that because that's a term that gets thrown around a lot, right? It's like, oh, you leave the medical establishment and you study functional medicine, you're getting to the root cause. And it's like, from my perspective at this point, if you're not going subatomic, if you're not going down to the level of cells and of electrons, you're not getting to the root cause. Like everything is downstream of that. And so
Yeah.
if you're treating anything downstream of that, you're treating symptoms and you're not at the root cause yet. Could you just explore that idea a little bit more and explain in your words how it works for you?
Yeah. So I never had physics on school because you can choose like almost like a package, and I choose more the history side with the language side. You have to make the basic decision here. So, but when I saw the photoelectric effect and somebody explaining that in some context, one of the root causes, because I think there are more, it's just not one, but at least you search for the root causes or the one root cause, depending on the context. Yeah, that had to be on an atomic level because the photoelectric effects explains that, or let's say gravity looks it from that perspective. So the basic laws of physics were so root cause-ish for me,
Mhm.
if that's like a good explanation. That for me something there just clicked. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
basically quantum mechanics in science, we agree it starts there. Let's call it the ground floor, and from there everything builds up. Why are we not looking like that when it comes to problems? Not only healthcare problems, of course. My main focus was healthcare problems, but just problems in general. Why are we not all together looking from that perspective and moving forward instead of almost moving backwards of the end of the problem, the symptom in this case, and move and try to move backwards. So that it felt so unnatural. It felt so weird. So that's what I mean with root cause, that you just start at the basics of what we know.
Yes. Yeah, I think it makes total sense too. And I'm with you. I'm a humanities person, not a science person. So I love talking in metaphors and explaining things in ways that anybody can understand.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
really think once people, you know, understand, even just on a basic metaphorical level why it's important to do something, it's much more easier to do that thing, to change
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
habit. So
I do a lot of
yeah,
metaphors.
I'm, I'm not a scientist or a physicist by any stretch,
Me
but
neither. Me
I
neither.
feel like, yeah, like understanding these things has helped me to make all of the changes. And then you and I are I think, in a great position to be able to explain it to people um, in a general way so that they can also make those changes. So you
Yeah, I
mentioned,
am kind of
yeah, go
nerdy. I
ahead.
like the science a lot as well, to
Yeah.
explain the science as well, but it's not necessary for the implications to help people with it. I mean, we can go as deep as you want with a client or a patient or somebody or in podcast. And for me, that's hobby as well. I like to study papers and know the nitty gritty. But what you're saying, you don't need to know the nitty gritty exactly. You just need the general implications of it, and then it will work for everybody. And that's also something that I liked about, let's say, root cause when it comes to science or particles or atoms or whatever, um, is that they will work for everybody. It doesn't matter what genes, how old, which country. Yeah, there are some nuances in it, but it will work for everybody.
Yes, because this is,
Which is not the
we're
case with
yeah,
medication, for example.
exactly, or supplements or so many other things. Yeah, because
Yeah, yeah, or diets or something like that.
we're
Yeah,
putting our bodies into the environment, into the state that they were made to be in
yeah.
at the cellular level. Okay, so you mentioned the photoelectric effect. In a general way, talk about the connection between the photoelectric effect, just very briefly what it is and how it relates to human health.
Yeah.
This
So
has come off on the podcast before, but it's one of those concepts I think is really worth revisiting.
yeah, I always explain it in a metaphor with a battery. So when you have a battery in the remote control of the TV or any other remote control, you have plus and minus. And when I look at the photoelectric effect, I look at the minus side of the equation, the minus side of the battery. Basically, how I always explain it is like, it doesn't matter if plus or minus is wrong in the remote control. You cannot press the button to tell the TV to go to a different channel. Basically, it works like that for me in the body as well. When I explain it, you need photons to let the minus side of the battery work, and then you need something else on the plus side of the battery. We need some water, just like in the battery. That water is a little bit acidic, and from there on you can transfer information, so you can get to the next channel, you can get to the next gearbox. So basically, sunlight helps the minus side of your battery to go to the end goal, and that is changing the gearbox. And then I always explain it like, you can see different gearboxes when we look outside in nature, when we see the seasons. And that's all. That has a big relation with the photoelectric effect, because the photoelectric effect needs the sun to basically work or be there. So yeah, that's how I always try to explain it, that it's focused on one side of the equation. Of course, it's way more nuanced, but just as a
Yes,
metaphor, I always try to look at it like this.
right. So basically, bottom line is we need to be outside getting sunlight in order for our batteries to be charged properly.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the human body is metaphorically speaking a battery.
Yeah,
Runs on electricity and needs that charge.
yeah. Needs that charge, needs that positive and, let's say, negative of the battery to work together to produce the energy, the infrared ray that's coming out of your remote control to tell the TV to move in a different channel. And we also do a lot of stuff like that, moving into different channels, but also using the infrared heat coming from that, let's say, collaboration to keep our body at a certain temperature, for example.
Right. Um, because yeah, it's like if I went out and bought a house plant and put it in the closet and shut the door and left it in the dark and shined my iPhone on it a few times a day, nobody would be surprised that that plant shrivels up and dies.
No,
Even if I was
nobody.
giving it a lot of water, giving it a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah.
plant food, right? Like that makes perfect sense. Nobody
Yeah.
would question that. And yet we do that to our own bodies. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
but I eat so well and I drink all this water, but I'm basically like in a closet with only blue light on
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, that's why I always use the battery with the remote control. Maybe one side of the battery is good connected, but the other side of the battery is not connected. And even then, you cannot um, go to the next channel or keep your hormonal
Right.
balance or energy balance. That's why I use that one always. Yeah,
Yeah, because the light is an integral part of the circuit.
yeah, absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the practice and what it looks like to set up a clinic and practice through this lens. So everyone, you have people with different backgrounds, different specialties, and everyone is
Mhm.
coming through the common theme that you all share is that you see health through a quantum biologic lens.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is that we have a couple. What's that in English? A family doctor. Sorry, I was looking for that one.
Yeah.
Family doctors that put patients through. We have a good relationship with one hospital in Holland, or not the full hospital, but some specialties within that hospital, especially the skin program within that hospital. They send patients through. Patients can come to social media, and from there we just assess like, okay, what's your problem, what's the background. We talk with that person for 45 minutes to an hour just to talk about the history and everything that's going on, and from there on we make a decision. Okay, do we think we can help this person, and if that's the case, how long does it take? It's an estimation. And do we need blood work from this person? Yes or no? In some contexts we do, some contexts we don't. And from there on, we just it's it's lifestyle changes, but not only lifestyle changes when it comes to, let's say, the food, because that we are pretty used to in Holland. You know, if you have a problem which is not like you have to go to the hospital, or you went to the hospital and they're saying, yeah, we're gonna do anything for you, then you have two options. It's like exercise more and eat less, or at least eat than what you're doing at the moment. But most of the time, it's eat less. That's not what we do. We're trying to see it in a bigger picture, the quantum biology picture, and that comes, okay, let's change the whole lifestyle. So we need to change your environment because the environment dictates how you function. Um, so that's basically where we start, and that for everybody, the start is the same for everybody. Okay, how many sunlight do you see? And most people here in Holland, because there's not a lot of sun here either, a lot of rain, so it's a bit harder for them. I understand that. Say, yeah, 30 minutes a day. That's the answer we get the most. Okay, let's
Right.
build that up to at least 2 hours a day, at least. And from there, we move forward. How many hours of screen time do you have? And then most people say around 8 hours. Okay, try to get that to six, and those six needs to change when it comes to wearing blue blocking glasses, iris tech software or any other software, but mostly iris tech software and other artificial light around you. Because I understand if people start, you cannot tell them quit their job, go outside, and I understand they need to go to work. So we're trying to make small adjustments in their environment, and from there we have a step program where you basically, most clients between 16 to 24 weeks follow that step program, and after week 6 or 8 we're gonna adjust specific on, let's say, the labs, yes or no, depending on the condition that the persons have. But the first 6 weeks is basically for everybody the same, to start integrating a more natural circadian cycle. We share that on Instagram, we share that on
Mhm.
YouTube, we share that on Spotify. For everybody, it starts there because we need to get a better circadian rhythm. Um,
So
and after that's done,
this is amazing to me. I just have to say, right, that you've set up this practice and have built in such a strong foundation to lead your patients and your clients through to a light optimized lifestyle. Like
yeah. So in the first
this
10
is
minutes, we say,
remarkable. Good for you guys.
in the first 10 minutes, we ask the question, is this doable for you? Yes or no? You
Yeah.
need 60 minutes. So in the form, before they come into the clinic, we ask them, rate the importance of your health, rate your willingness to change, but also rate how many hours a day you can spend for that change. And we always say as a joke, we cut it in half and then it's still okay because people
Yeah.
always go in enthusiastically
Yeah, I
and then
know. We all
reality.
lie on those forms. Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, so that's fine. And and from there on we start like, okay, you wrote this, let's take half of it. Is that realistic for you? Are you willing to do that? Because those hours will be about light. And if somebody doesn't want to start there, then we just tell them we cannot help you. Sorry, just you have to
Good
go
for you.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
No, and
this is
that's totally important. One of my best coaching mentors said he was like this real gruff guy, and he was like, "They got to be coachable. If they're not
yeah,
coachable, you're gonna fail." So
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
just said he was very
yeah,
clear. If the person is
yeah.
not coachable, do not sign that contract. Do not take them on.
No,
There's nothing to be done.
no,
So
yeah. So
they're just
yeah,
not ready
and
yet.
from
They might circle back a little later when they're up
yeah,
against the
we
wall.
always
Okay.
say I can guide you up the mountain, but I cannot carry you up the mountain. That's just I you can follow my tracks,
Perfect. I love
but I
that.
cannot do it for you. And yeah, that works in, let's say, 90% of the cases, 95% of the cases we have. You cannot save everybody, and you learn a lot
Hmm.
from it, and that's nice. But yeah, for most people it works. So from Crohn's disease with an endoscopy that is clear, no inflammation anymore, from people who are not sleeping for the last 17 years more than 3 hours a night. They're back now for months, 8 to 9 months, 8 hours at least, from
Yeah.
all kinds of skin diseases that are going away. Name it, and basically we had it. Also patients, of course, we are not the main, let's say, facilitator, but also a lot of people
Hmm.
with cancer, we support them to at
Yeah.
least get the energy going and just make sure they do the best what they can do. Some patients are already yeah, not getting better
Yeah.
anymore, and they know it, but they want to make the best out of the time they have. Other people are still fighting it. So yeah, it's super diverse what we get in the clinic. But overall, with what I say, 90-95% of the time, it helps the people subjectively feel better, it looks better, but also objectively, if we see the lab results of them,
Hmm.
just I give
Yeah.
it to other doctors or other healthcare professionals and look, A, B, C, D, do you see? And it's like, yeah, there's no denying that this stuff works, and it's all uh, medication free. And
Hmm.
in 9 out of 10 times, it's also supplement free. Sometimes a little bit magnesium,
Yeah.
but yeah, but besides that, it's all supplements free. Sometimes we do a little bit of cleaning the colon with a little bit of Q10 and a little bit of Demonos, but
Hmm.
that also doesn't happen a lot. So yeah, basically that's where we start, and from there we're gonna integrate stuff like cold therapy, but also infrared light therapy, also a little bit of UV therapy. We do sometimes some stuff with ozone as well. It depends on what the person needs. Basically, we're just focusing on one-on-one treatment because everybody is a bit different and the
Hmm.
situation is different. And from there on, we just try to move them on a path that's subjectively and objectively they are better. And they have a plan, like a guide written for them after what they did. This is what you're going to do the next couple months to keep it going and even progress a bit more. So yeah, it's really fun to do actually.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
a couple things you said that I think are important. One is that, you talked about how for a lot of people you are a support in addition to the other specialists or the other medical professionals that they see, which I
Yeah.
think that's a really important point for people to remember, right? Like sometimes we learn a new thing and we're like, I gotta throw out everything else and just do this. And it's like, no, it
Oh
can
no, yeah.
be done in addition to, right? Now, sometimes if the other stuff you're doing is causing you harm, then okay, fine. Like, I don't know, in in
Yeah, we always say
collaboration
like
with your
this
medical
regular, yeah,
professional, make a
yeah,
decision. But
yeah.
yeah,
The
that like,
clients will always come in with it's regular healthcare or alternative healthcare. We just say, no, it's just healthcare.
no, yeah,
There's
exactly.
no,
Yeah. Because my thing is you just need one person in your life who understands light to help you get on the path, right? Like whether, so if you've got a ton of doctors and specialists, maybe you just need a health coach. Maybe you just, maybe it's your physical therapist. Like it's just one person who understands and can give you the support and guidance on that path. You don't need
yeah, it works
I
with,
mean,
we
it'd be
always say
great
it
if
works on the
everyone knew this,
foundation.
but they don't. So you don't need it all. Yeah.
Yeah, we always say just have one person in the team that works on the foundation. For
Right.
us,
Yeah.
quantum biology, or you can say physics, whatever you want to call it, is the foundation. And if you have somebody that's just accounting for that and just calculating with that in the portfolio, then you're good to go. Then you don't have to be with me or my colleagues. You can be with somebody else. It's fine. But make sure you look for somebody who has that in the portfolio, and then you will be better off than when you don't. It's that simple for us.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And that is sort of the guiding light of for the Quantum Biology Collective, right? Like our vision was that everybody could have access to at least one health
Yeah.
and wellness professional who understood this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sort of
It's
like
an
that's the
amazing goal.
goal.
It's an amazing goal. Let's go for that. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. And so, all right. So we were talking about, I had another question. Oh, okay. So your people come in, they go through a 6 week sort of light optimization sequence with guided by somebody in the clinic. And then at that point, decisions are made about what to do next. And you're finding that people are largely compliant with um, the suggestions.
Yes. Yeah, most of them are. And that I think that build up over time as well, because now we have almost like a name that if stuff is like really hard or almost unfixable, or you have been to 14 other doctors and they always tell you, because that's a really famous, probably everywhere, but in Holland we joke a lot about it, about you have to live with it. You have to live with it. It's even a
Yeah.
joke if something is not there in the supermarket. Ah, you have to live with it, because people hear it so much from the healthcare professionals. So,
Just a shrug.
and
Yeah, you got to live with it.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
and
Yeah.
more and more healthcare professionals send them to us. So the people who come in, they have so many different problems and so many disappointments that they are skeptical, which is good. I always tell them, don't believe anything I say, just investigate it for yourself. Just give
Hmm.
me a chance to guide you. The only commitment I want from you is you have to do it, because otherwise you cannot say if I'm right or wrong. You can tell me that I'm wrong after 6 or 7, fine, fine, you can get your money back, all fine. We work a lot with no cure, no pay, not in every context, but in most, just to make sure that we have a relationship where the person is committed. So yeah, most of the people are committed, and of course you can discuss about, are they perfectly committed, or could it be a bit more, or don't understand the situation, or the depth of the situation yet. But no, most of people are committed. Yeah.
Right. Because they're the ones who've been through the ringer. And that's most of
Yeah.
us when we come to this, right? It's like we've tried so many things, we keep getting the same answer. The answers
Yeah.
are often like, you know, well, your labs are fine. So it's all, you're just tired, whatever.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was like the mainstream
Part of getting
medical.
older.
Yeah. It's like, because the medicine's very good at crises. They're not so good at, I'm like, okay, I'm like probably 5 to 10 years away from a crisis, but I would like to not be on that
Yeah.
path. They don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
much to
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah. We have 17 million people in Holland and 11 million people according to the statistics. I think it's a bit higher, but according to the statistics, have a chronic disease. So
Yeah.
even from those statistics, doesn't matter if you believe what you believe in, we are not good at fixing chronic diseases. So you can go on in the system that adds to the statistics and doesn't help the 11 million people, because 10 years ago we were 5.5 million people, and in the next coming 10 years they expect 15 million people in a country where live 17 million people. And then even we have the stigma we are healthy people, which is obviously not the case.
Yeah.
um, so I think COVID helped a lot with that too, that people wake up like, maybe I need to go a different route, because the route that I believe in, or the route that I got taught about, let's say traditional medicine or traditional healthcare, is not the route that will help me. I talk to people, yeah, I've seen 11 specialists in the last 12 years. Okay, what did it do for you? It got worse. And I don't hear
Yeah.
that story once. I can literally hundreds of people a year who tell that story, or just tell the story like, yeah, doc told me in 4 minutes, I have to live with it. Bye. And door closed.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, people are waking up to the fact like, of course, we are very good in trauma,
Hmm.
surgeries or broken ankles, or very good in Holland. The healthcare system in Holland is super good at that. I am always saying I don't want to be in another country than Holland when I have to have an operation or something like that. It's
Yes.
perfect, you know. But on the other hand, there's another side of the coin. Frankly, we suck at it, not
Yeah.
only in Holland, but in the rest of Europe and in a lot of other countries as well, which is not something to pick on or to complain about. Just let's get to work and try to fix that. So, and that's
Yes.
the attitude I always have with the patient as well. Yeah, that happened in the past. That happened. Yeah, shit, lost a lot of money, but we cannot do anything about it. Let's go for what we can do. And what I need from you is at least 6 weeks of commitment. And we always start with commitment of 1 to 2 hours a day. Mostly we start with one, and then within the 6 weeks, we build it up to two. And from there on, and then people are like, okay, I didn't like it. Maybe I think Thomas is an asshole, but it worked. And from there on, they have a lot of
Yep.
motivation to move forward. So, yeah, I'm a therapist who does a lot of tough love, and maybe that's not for everybody, but in general, people are always like, okay, I needed that. I needed that kick in the butt to not go on the same route again.
Yes, I think so. And helping supporting people through behavior change is not easy. And there's a reason why the medical establishment has not gone that route, right? It takes time. You
Yeah.
got to build up rapport with people. You have to be willing to give them tough love when they need it. You got to
Yeah,
know when to be empathetic versus like holding the line. And it's not,
yeah,
it's not easy, but it's the only thing. It's
yeah,
the
and it
only
takes a
thing
lot
that
of
will get
time.
to the root
Yeah.
cause, as
Yeah,
you were saying
yeah,
earlier.
exactly. All our consultations are at minimum 30 minutes, but most of the time 75 minutes at the time.
Yeah.
Because you need to talk with people, you need to listen to people, which the medical system, let's say you go to, I don't know, oncologist or something like that, then mostly they have 12 to 15 minutes for you, and that's already a lot. If you go to a dermatologist, most of the time it's 10 minutes. So yeah, that's tough. So yeah, people need to make a change, and quantum biology for me and the people around me is such an effective tool to get that stuff. It's not the only tool, but it's a super effective one.
Yes. And yeah, it's not the only tool, but it is a foundational tool. And that's what I hear you saying, right? And
Absolutely.
that's what sort of our message is as well. And in the certification, when we have people come in, just it's very similar to your clinic, right? Like people have all very different backgrounds, and it's like this is to integrate with what you already know, with what your area of expertise already is, because it's foundational. And then, yeah,
Yeah,
once that foundation is in place, layer on whatever you need. But
yeah,
it starts with this. And I just want
yeah.
to,
And the layer is thick.
yeah, go ahead.
It's a
Yeah,
thick layer.
it's a thick,
That,
yeah,
that
it's a thick layer.
that's what
Yeah,
I always
because
tell people.
yeah, and the other thing is like so many times I talk to people and they're doing so much, right? Like that's the thing. People are trying so hard, and this was me too. Like we really want to make all the best decisions we can for our health
Yeah,
and for the health of our children and for the health of our communities. And without this information, it's like walking through the mud up to our knees, right? Like it's
Yeah.
we can buy all organic and eat all whole foods and import our, have our water delivered from a spring. But if we don't get this piece, it's not going to come together.
No,
And
no, that's a
it's
metaphor I always use with the car, for example. And let's say you
yeah,
go to the mechanic and you have three flat tires, there's smoke coming out of the engine, um, the gearbox is not working well. Do you think you're gonna discuss what kind of gasoline or oil that car needs? It's just first you
exactly.
fix the other stuff, and of
Hmm.
course, then there is a discussion about because you can ruin stuff with wrong gasoline or oil. But 100 times the right oil is not gonna fix it, and we still think that's the case. Yeah, but the human body works different, and if you put in the right stuff, then it will fix the cells. No, it doesn't.
No.
It
Yes,
doesn't.
because we've been taught, and I just was remembering this because I have a son doing ninth grade biology, right? Like we are taught the
Uh,
only way we to make energy is through food.
yeah.
He had a quiz on that yesterday. And
That's
so
why
that's what we
we're
believe.
able to not go without food for 36 days. That's always my response then.
Yeah. Yeah, because yes, and then he's got a different quiz on photosynthesis.
Ah,
And it's
nice.
like, actually, we are more photosynthetic than your biology textbook is letting on. And we
Yeah.
need we need that light. That light is the food for every cell in our body.
Yeah, and that's the other side of the equation. Yeah, we have the patient, but we also have podcasts like this and stuff like this where you need to go deep to explain the animal photosynthesis because people don't know it's there. And that's also a big part for me personally. When I talk to clients, I always tell them 50% is about, let's say, the physical question of help, and 50% is about transferring the information because when you know better, you will do better.
Yeah.
Um, so, and that's what I like about the Quantum Biology Collective or other podcasts. We need to spread the message, not to show off like, look what we know. And no, 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 no. It's not about that. It's about just getting the information to people to let people think about it in a different way than only their biology textbook or only what the doctor is saying or only biochemistry instead of hey, there's so much more, there's more foundational stuff under this going on, and we don't have to agree on that all the time. We need to have at least discussions about it. It needs to be out there in the open. So and that's what I like about my job actually the most. Yeah, helping people is really good, but just getting more people aware with podcasts like this and stuff like I think you're doing a great job with that, and there's not enough talk about this. Just
Yeah.
needs more.
I feel like the needle is moving. I think there's a big shift coming. And
Absolutely.
even just in my personal life, I've had people who are not in this at all who are like, wait, what do you do? What are you talking about? I don't know, whatever. And then all of a sudden in the last couple months, I've had so many people be like, sorry, wait, what about blue blockers? And what did you say? And what like
Mm.
and they're suddenly interested. It's I don't
Yeah.
know, we're
Yeah, that's what
gotta
Jack always says. Like 20 years ago, they thought I was super crazy. 15 years ago, a little less crazy. 10 years
yes.
ago, a little less crazy. And now it's like, shit.
Yes. And now you have people like Andrew Huberman, he's
Yes.
not on board with quantum biology, but he is on board with circadian biology. And
Yeah,
he's a very good communicator. And I think he's done a lot for morning sunlight. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
and so yeah,
But
there's little
we still
pieces
need to be on
trickling up.
Andrew Huberman's case as well, that he needs to be on with quantum biology.
I know.
It's,
Because
we're
I
not,
mean it, people
we're
think
gonna
you're
not let him off the hook that easy. No.
I agree. I agree. I think he'll get there because it
Yeah.
it really just makes sense, right? Like science is a continuously evolving entity, right? Like there's no endpoint. So if over 100 years ago quantum physics became a thing, like why wouldn't it make sense that it's now evolved to quantum biology and the intersection of quantum physics and biology? Like
Yeah.
it's not really that weird. I'm trying to flip the script on that because everyone's like, "Whoa, metaphysical biology." And I'm like, it's really not that strange. It's just a
Yeah, if you
progression of our
transfer it to a phone or a
understanding.
car, transfer it to a phone or a car. I mean, nobody in
Yeah.
Europe is using the Nokia anymore, you know?
Yep.
Let's say 20 years ago, you would tell everybody that one of the biggest companies in the world when it comes to manufacturing cars will be an electric car company. Ha!
Ah. Yeah.
You're crazy. And
Yes.
same goes for the internet, or you will
Mm-hmm.
be having a pocket computer. You can do most of the things when you can call somebody. It always happens like that. It's normal. It's normal. Even Einstein in the beginning was like, he was kicked off out of a couple universities because his ideas were too crazy, too much
Yeah.
out there. That's never gonna happen. Blah blah blah. And it happened before with Galileo Galilei or any other
Yeah.
invention. It's just and we just need a couple people who are explaining it well, communicating it well, and just basically are willing to take a beating from time to time. Like, oh, you're
Yeah.
stupid, you don't know anything, you're bullshit, you're not a doctor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, nice.
All
Well,
right.
what do you suggest? What do you suggest?
Yeah.
Doing the same shit over and over again? Come on, what do you suggest? And then just move forward. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are doing that, and that wakes up a lot of people and helps a lot of people because that's where it's about. So yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely agree and have the feeling that there is a big move of the needle. It's not a small move, but anyway, it
Yeah.
feels like a big one. Yeah,
Going to be a huge leap. Yeah. And like,
yeah,
and the, I mean, we are collectively up against a wall. Like everyone is freaking sick, whether it's
yeah,
whether they have some fatigue or full blown whatever, like everybody's getting sick. And our light bulbs have changed so much in the last 10 years. Our screens have changed. Like there's all of these inputs that have become radically more toxic and nobody thinks about it. So connecting the dots is the best we can do. I love that you're doing this. Okay, so your clinic is in the Netherlands.
yeah.
So do you see people in other parts of Europe? Because we have quite a
Yeah,
large European audience. And I
yeah, no,
sometimes get
no, no,
messages
no.
being like, why don't you interview more European people? So here you
No,
are.
so yeah, yeah. So the name of the company is Your Health Concept, and we communicate most of the stuff in Dutch
Okay.
when it comes to the website and the socials. But there is a button, and you can translate it into English. That's
Yes.
easy. When it comes to helping clients, literally, yeah, of course, our basis is Holland, but we have people literally from Hawaii, Dubai, Kuwait, Switzerland, France, England, America, literally almost everywhere. Not so much Asia, but besides Asia, it's South American
All
people,
over.
is all over. Yeah, we are
Okay.
really used to speaking English in Holland here. So yeah, if the person speaks English, we can help the person. And now these days, with all technology, you can. But
Yeah.
I also have people coming over from other countries here to come
To
here and
come to
just
you.
set the appointment. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And just quickly, what do you cover? So you've mentioned a family doctor, so general health. Are there other specialties that you have or other people with areas of expertise?
Yeah, yeah. So one of my colleagues does a lot with, let's say, the quantum biology side of nutrition, and she's a dentist. So everything that involves, uh, yeah, the mouth or
Oh,
stuff
great.
connected to that. Yeah, I'm more focused on the skin and the gut issues.
Hmm.
Mostly the gut issues that just evolved naturally. I got more and more and more people with gut problems like Crohn's disease, mostly Crohn's, also others, but mostly Crohn's. Um, and we have one colleague. He's taking a step back now, but before he was more focused on the mental side of things from a quantum biology perspective. So
Mm,
that was also nice. But um, we're also training other healthcare professionals, and they're a bit more focused on the child side of things, when it comes to nutrition or sleep or the problems.
yeah.
And one person who is really starting to pick up more and more sleeping disorders. So yeah, basically that are the five
Right.
main specialties or coming specialties. Yeah.
Those are really foundational and important.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, Thomas, thanks so much for being here, and congratulations on this clinic being a reality and for putting it into the world and helping people and moving
Thanks.
this whole train forward.
Yeah. We have big plans. We're gonna keep pushing and pushing. The team is getting bigger and bigger, so we are not going away anytime soon.
Amazing. I love to hear that. Keep us posted and love to have you
Will do.
back sometime.
Yeah, thanks. Let's do that. Thank you.
This has been the Quantum Biology Collective podcast. To find a practitioner who practices from this point of view, visit our directory at quantumbiologycollective.org. If you are a practitioner, definitely take a look at the Applied Quantum Biology Certification, a 6-week study of the science of the new human health paradigm and its practical application with your patients and clients. We also love to feature graduates of the program on this very podcast. Until next time, the QBC.